We used to live in a small, remote town called Havenwood, Montana. Then, in 2010, we moved to the nearby city, Maplewood. My grandfather, bless his soul, had built 3 houses for his sons here. My father was the youngest, and I had 2 elder uncles. Our relationship with them was always strained. They treated my dad unfairly, driven by deep resentment and envy. We moved to Maplewood, hoping the distance might ease the tension. We lived in the old house for 8 years. In 2016, we started building our own home, just a few steps down the street. The plot originally belonged to my eldest uncle, who first refused to sell it to Dad, only to sell it to a neighbor, and then finally back to us. The lot had been a nightmare, a local dumping ground choked with trash and overgrown with a huge, ominous-looking wych elm tree. We cleared it and began construction, aiming to host my brother and 2 sisters' weddings there. The house was finished, we moved in, and the weddings happened in 2018. Everything looked perfect, but the peace was gone. It was like we'd been cursed. The big new house, the joyful, lavish weddings. My uncles and aunts simply couldn't stand our happiness. That's when our dark days began. Our old house was full of love. The new house was constant tension. Arguments flared, Mom and Dad fought. Harmony was a distant memory. My true horror story began in 2021. I was attending Maplewood Community College. After a few months, the lockdown forced us online. I got my first smartphone and fell into a deep, unproductive rut. Suddenly, it was announced that our crucial final exams were just 1 month away. I had done 0 preparation. Panic set in. I fell into a deep depression, obsessing over my inevitable failure, yet unable to study. With 2 days left, the anxiety peaked. The first paper was a blank slate. I walked out, lied to my brother that it went well, and went home, my mind spiraling. I had been a straight A student. Failing was unthinkable. Standing in the bathroom, staring at my reflection, I felt a sudden, terrible urge. I went to my parents' room and tried to overdose on leftover medication. The moment the pills were down, I regretted it. What have I done? Then I passed out. When I woke, my head was heavy. I couldn't move or speak. I don't know how long I lay there. Hours? I drifted back to sleep. The next time I awoke, Mom was leaning over me, terrified. Tears streamed down my face as I clung to her. Then my body started to convulse. I was conscious, but my voice was trapped. The shaking was violent, coupled with huge, loud hiccups and thick drool running from my mouth. I was taken to the hospital. All tests, MRI, CT scan, came back clear. Yet my condition worsened. Random seizure-like attacks. My limbs would go numb. I'd collapse or the violent tremors would strike. One day, my older brother brought his speakers into the room and played a powerful, soothing scripture from the Bible, or a sacred chant, hymn. The moment the hymn started, I began to thrash. I was sitting cross-legged, and my hands started slamming against the bed. Then I began to laugh, a chilling, hollow sound. Dad had my brother stop the music, fearing my condition would worsen. I remained seated, staring blankly at my brother in the doorway. He was holding an empty soda bottle. I beckoned to him. I felt it wasn't my voice that commanded, "Come here." I snatched the bottle, told him to get lost, and started playing with it like a small child. I then slammed the bottle against the door, lay down on my back, still cross-legged, and started bouncing up and down on the bed, my body rigid and contorted. Then I stopped. The pain was excruciating. I was weeping from the physical strain. Mom straightened my limbs. This is where the worst phase began. I would be conscious, knowing exactly what was happening, but I couldn't move or speak. Sometimes I couldn't even blink for 30 minutes. My cousin, a doctor, came to examine me. I was numb but aware. He poured hot water on my feet and tried to provoke a reaction. My toes wouldn't twitch. I would spend half the day in this paralyzed state, often soiling myself. When I came out of the paralysis, the seizures, drooling, and hiccups would start again. After months of this, my dad's acquaintance recommended an old spiritual guide, the elder, to visit our house. He observed me, then sat me before a candle, asking me to close my eyes and describe what I saw. I saw myself back at the old townhouse. My aunt and uncle were there. My aunt was walking through the yard, scattering handfuls of raw, dried cornmeal from a plate. My older uncle was on the rooftop, digging in the soil near the overgrown grass and burying something. My eldest uncle was standing with the livestock, chanting and blowing on the animals. And in front of our new house, my aunt was circling the gate, sprinkling water and throwing several hexbags talismans onto the small lawn. I opened my eyes and described every detail to the elder. Immediately, I had a seizure, collapsing with foam and convulsions. When the fit passed, the elder gave us a few protective charms and instructed us to burn them slowly over a flame after sundown, inhaling the smoke near my nose. As my brother held the burning charm near my face, I started to twitch. When he tried to hold me still, I became instantly enraged. I felt a surge of power. I kicked him off the bed. I lunged at him, beating him relentlessly. My father intervened and was also hurt. My rage was so fierce, I clung to the thick cloth curtains, tearing the sturdy railing from the wall with one violent pull. The next day, Father Elias, a renowned man of faith, was coming. The entity inside me started to lash out, giving me sharp, invisible blows all over my body, slaps on my face and back. I was in agony, and in my distress I lifted the bed several feet off the floor with my feet. The moment Father Elias stepped through the door, everything went silent. I passed out. He examined me and said, "Bring her to my sanctuary in Lakeside, California." He gave a powerful blessing and said the dark force consisted of 4 entities. The treatment continued, but I tried to sabotage it. One time, I managed to lock myself in the bathroom and took the protective charm off my arm. When the door was finally broken down, I was convulsing again. Father Elias's attempts failed. My parents brought me home. One day, I locked myself in the washroom with a simple latch, laughing hysterically, shouting, "It's just a latch. No key can open it." My mom panicked, pleading with me to open the door. In my fit, I fell, injured myself, and tore the new suit I was wearing into shreds. When I finally came to my senses, I saw my bloody arm and my state, and I screamed in pure anguish. My father called Elder Maxwell, a revered holy man and his friend. He rarely made house calls, but Dad's friend lied, saying I was an orphan in need. I was sick of these healers. I refused to go near him. They forced me into the sitting room. My fury exploded. I sat down opposite the frail old man, silently challenging him. What can this old man do that all the others couldn't? Elder Maxwell began his chant. Then he reached for a large butcher knife, the kind used for harvesting livestock. He used the knife to draw a circle around me, reciting prayers. Then he abruptly placed the cold, heavy blade on my head. I felt a cocktail of rage, helplessness, and sheer terror. I wanted to attack him. He finished and said, "This child is standing in the mouth of death. Bring her to my home." In a fit of rage, I stormed out. 2 days later, my family tricked me, saying we were going back to Father Elias. I woke up at Elder Maxwell's house. I was furious. He draped a thin, white, blessed cloth over my head, covering me completely. He began his recitation. As he placed the knife on my head again, I felt an unbelievable lightness. My rage vanished. A profound sense of peace washed over me. When he removed the cloth, I saw him not as an enemy, but as a kind, gentle soul. The severe symptoms stopped immediately. The paralysis and the violent contortions ended. The seizures and drooling lessened over time. Elder Maxwell had put a protective boundary on my entire family. He became an instrumental figure in my life. I went from avoiding prayer and the Bible to fully embracing my faith. I now cover myself, pray regularly, and hold to spiritual principles. The problems haven't vanished, but the spiritual attacks no longer possess me. I know who did this, my family members, but I've never cursed them. I only pray for their guidance and repentance. In 2013, my grandpa Joe passed away. He'd been sick briefly before the 4th of July weekend. My mom got a call. Grandpa wasn't doing well. He was a healthy, fit man. Mom and Dad rushed over. Grandpa insisted he was fine and asked Mom to make his favorite molasses candy. While stirring, the boiling mixture splashed, leaving a terrible burn on Mom's arm. A possible natural accident, or maybe the first sign of something dark brewing. That night, our house was robbed. Just a phone and a few $100s. Grandpa's condition worsened, and he died a few days later. My Aunt Clara, who was unmarried and in 9th grade, was devastated. 6 or 7 months passed. Dad suggested Aunt Clara come live with us in Maplewood to cheer her up. Grandma agreed. Clara enrolled in the local high school. For 2 months, things were calm. We thought she was recovering. Then one day, we were all walking to school. Clara lagged behind us. Suddenly, I turned around and she was gone. We backed up and saw Aunt Clara walking slowly down the trash-filled side street. We called her name, but she didn't respond. We ran to her, grabbed her arm, and turned her around. Her eyes were vacant, and a faint, chilling smile touched her lips. She pointed down the alley and whispered, "Dad's calling me. He's waiting for me." That one sentence sent us running. We took her home. A few days later, my cousins came to visit Mom. "Auntie, what's wrong with Clara?" they asked. They described horrifying behavior. Clara would randomly start laughing in class, get up and wander around, and act out in ways they couldn't even describe. Mom, convinced Clara was under some kind of spiritual influence, agreed to keep her home. Dad immediately called a friend, and the next day a local healer arrived. Clara's only reaction was a mocking smile. She sat down cross-legged in front of him, staring into his eyes, daring him. The healer sat, closed his eyes, then stood up abruptly. He said, "I apologize, this is beyond my power." Clara burst into childlike laughter and walked away. Dad contacted a friend who knew of a powerful man of faith, Father Zahir, from near the Canadian border. Father Zahir, his wife, and 2 kids arrived to stay with us. Clara was instantly hostile. She refused to speak or smile. One cold night, huddled in a room, Father Zahir began a recitation. Clara, sitting alone, began to sway violently. Father Zahir stopped and later told Dad, "Clara is suffering from a deadly black magic attack." The following night, the scene was set. A large metal basin with burning coals sat in the center of the room. A large glass bottle, a notebook, and several heavy wooden pestles lay nearby. Dad, my 3 uncles, and my 2 brothers formed a large circle around the basin. Clara was seated right in the middle. Mom was in the kitchen preparing sweet molasses rice, as instructed. Father Zahir handed out the pages from the notebook, each covered with the word demon, and a pestle to each man. He instructed them to beat the paper with all their strength without stopping while he recited. For 2 relentless hours they beat the papers. With every blow, Clara screamed. The men were drenched in sweat. Father Zahir stopped the men. He grabbed Clara's pinky finger tightly. Her condition was critical. "Who are you? How many are you? Who sent you?" he demanded. Clara's voice, when it came, was deep, coarse, and distorted, like multiple people speaking at once. "We are spirits. Why do you hurt us? Let us go." "How many?" 50. "Who sent you?" They refused to answer. Father Zahir increased the pressure on her finger. She shrieked. Finally, he blew hard on her with a powerful prayer. She shrieked again, a sound so horrible it was almost unbearable. Her voice was broken, choked with pain. "Imrana. Imrana sent us." Imrana was our aunt, Clara's sister-in-law. She had done this to seize Clara's share of Grandpa Joe's estate. Father Zahir convinced the entities to leave Clara. He made her eat the sweet rice and trapped them in the glass bottle, telling my brother and uncle to bury it in a desolate spot and not look back. The immediate crisis was over. For several years, Clara would still have occasional odd moments, as the magic never completely stopped. Sometimes she would act like a child. Once, during a birthday party, she suddenly walked up to my sister's husband, grabbed his hand, and sat next to him, laughing incessantly. My sister gently pulled her away, and Clara immediately passed out. My brother-in-law, a skeptical but kind man, was told what happened. These incidents gradually faded. In 2022, my Aunt Clara got married. She is now happy with her husband and 2 children. May God keep her safe from all harm.